I'm Dr. Karthik Nagendra. I'm the Chief Marketing Officer of Demand Farm, a leader in digital key account management solutions. Welcome to our podcast, The Shift. It is a thought leadership podcast which focuses on bringing together sales and marketing leaders from across the world to share their perspectives around the future of key account management. So traditionally, marketers have adopted a mass marketing approach, right? So which involves casting a wide net to reach out to as many potential customers as possible. However, as the digital landscape continues to evolve, having personalized and targeted marketing strategies have become paramount. Account-based marketing is a very powerful technique that focuses on engaging specific high-value accounts, treating them as individual markets of their own. So in this episode, we will uncover the key principles and strategies behind account-based marketing in a digital age. We need an expert who can share those perspectives with us. And that expert with us today is Tejas Arur. He's the principal marketing communications, business development, and commercial operations with Axtria. So let us dive in to see what insights Tejas has to share with us today. Welcome, Tejas. Really nice to have you with us here today.
Thank you so much, Karthik, for having me on this podcast.
Our pleasure. So Tejas, before we start, why don't you talk to us about your role at Axtria and what does Axtria do?
Okay, so let me talk about Axtria a little bit first. So we are a software and consulting organization primarily focused on the life sciences vertical. Now, what that means is that we've chosen life sciences as a playground. And the reason why we've done that is traditionally life sciences was a little bit behind the curve when it came to product or tech adoption because it was guarded by a lot of regulations, right? So reaching out to a customer, for example, you will not see a hoarding of a pharmaceutical product or a drug anywhere out there, right? So traditionally, pharma organizations were comfortable using the traditional channels. So I think the pandemic as such kind of, accelerated the digital adoption. And that's where companies like us come in significantly to improve their outreach to the customer engagement, and also, personalization and all the good things that digital kind of, brings onto the table.
Yeah.
What we do is we do three things and we do them two ways. One is we do information management, which is, looking at raw data, moving it to the cloud, making it pliable, so that analytics can be performed, which is what, then dovetails into our second thing that we do, which is advanced analytics, which means giving the leaders as well as, executives the ability to operationalize data or, take it to a point of decision making, so to speak, right? So perform complex decisions on the data, which is now pliable. And then thirdly, operationalize that analytics as well, right? Meaning take it all the way through customer engagement. And we do this two ways. One is we have products which are SaaS, which deliver information management, advanced analytics, and commercial operations to the organization. And we also have some wraparound consulting services. So these are bespoke services which potentially the products may not have an outreach into. Yeah, so broadly, that's what Axtria does, and primarily for the life sciences vertical, like I said. My role here is into marketing, which is end-to-end of marketing, looking at product and solutions messaging, the overall corporate branding as well, creating assets which are specific to certain customer personas, and even to a larger, to create larger organization appeal, so to speak, right? Customers today are not just paying customers. We also have talent that we need to appeal to. So we create content, collateral assets, which enhance the company's outreach, so to speak. And through various channels, we bring back the leads and hopefully follow them into closing out business for us. So that's one part of the role. I also have, so when I joined the company, it was a small startup, right? So there is a lot of opportunity to kind of add on to your role, so to speak. So I do a little bit of sales enablement, which includes research, knowledge management, and creating sales collateral specific to sales teams, RFP responses, and, creating, win themes for them as well. And then also a little bit of inside sales, so to speak, right? So which is, while in the B2B world, there is a limitation in terms of how much inside sales can bring to the table. but we are actually surprised with the success that we've been able to have there, right?
Very
So I think
interesting.
broadly that kind of, defines the span of the role that I have.
Very interesting. So a lot of things that you're involved in. I'll try my best to see how much of value we can get out of you in
Sure,
this
sure.
session.
Yeah.
So to start a conversation, while marketing has multiple aspects to it, right?
Yes.
So uh, more and more organizations are focusing on account-based marketing, so to say. So what, according to you, is the importance of ABM in this highly digital world that we're looking at?
Yeah, so I think the way B2B organizations are, I guess, present, most of their business comes from accounts, right? So that's business to business, so to speak, which means that if your business is coming from the accounts, it's evident that your marketing investments or your sales investments are focused on getting that business from specific accounts as well, which now basically starts to mean that your account typically should be account based, or it needs to be tailored to specific accounts where you contextualize the message to the state in which that particular account is in. It's a little bit different from the traditional spray and pray, right? Where you kind of create a broad message and you send it out, and then you start hoping that you're going to get some hits from that spray and pray method that you have. So basically, that's the focus in which I think account-based marketing teams today are based out of. Especially like because you refer to the digital world, in a digital landscape itself, right? Customers are today, I think all of us are also overwhelmed with the information and advertising that happens. I think account-based marketing narrows it down to a level at which we get customized messages that address specifically our needs as professionals, right? And the roles that we play and the personas that we have. I think that's the, in a sense, the essence of account-based marketing, because I don't want to hear noise which is outside especially in my professional role, right? I don't want to hear about noise which is outside of that role. So that's where account-based marketing primarily lends itself to.
Correct. So you mentioned that from an organization standpoint, also there's a lot of data and analytics which the organization is involved into as well.
Yeah.
So how has the rise of this data analytics, AI, ML, really impacted ABM in the recent years, and what do you see happening in the future as well?
Yeah, I think that's a very interesting question, right? Because I think today data is the new currency, so to speak. Everywhere we go, we start to create data points which can potentially be used by organizations to actually create bespoke experiences and products and services for that suit our needs specifically. So I think first of all, having access to data is important, right? So everywhere it could be channels which are digital in nature, or even phygital, so to speak, or physical in nature. There is data point which we kind of leave behind. So it means that having access to that data which we are leaving behind is important. Secondly, it's not just the availability of data, but it is the availability of clean and consistent data, which is also important, right? There are many a times, just to give you an example, maybe from the life sciences world, right? So if I was to buy paracetamol or Crocin today, if I was to get it from 3 different stores, someone will say, paracetamol 500, someone will say 500 para, someone else will just say paracetamol, for example. Now, there is a need for making all of this data consistent, right? It needs to be clean. Because that's the only way that we'll be able to analyze it. Now, I can't look at these 3 products as 3 different SKUs if I'm analyzing it as a marketer. Correct. Right? All of these are the same, which means my addressable market needs to have consistency in terms of the way data is showing up to me. So I think that's the first point. In terms of, if we need to do analytics, data needs to be clean. The second is, I think from a measurement perspective as well, right from the beginning, we need to understand what is it that we are trying to do. There is a saying out there, right? If it can't be measured, it can't be done typically, which means companies need to understand their objectives. What's, first of all, the vision that they have, what is it that they're trying to achieve, what are the priorities, what are the objectives, and then, kind of blow it down to KPIs. And, typically in account-based marketing world, it could be engagement rates with accounts. It could be conversion rates. It could be generation of a pipeline based on the investment that you've made, the revenue that comes out of that initiative, and then eventually even the customer lifetime value. Right. So I think these are some of the analytics principles that you kind of, start to work with. And then finally, there is so much technology out there which actually starts pointing towards intent as well, right? So for example, if you go onto Google and we start looking for a particular product, it could be in the SaaS space, right? That intent actually starts to show up, and there are products out there, there's technology out there which captures that intent and starts to feed it into my account-based marketing objectives. Which means that I can have a very targeted, personalized conversation and engagement with someone who's actually looking at that, who's actually searching for that particular keyword, so to speak. Now, all of this starts to drive behavior. You can start analyzing behavior, and the moment we say analyze, right? So that's where analytics starts to come in. Because it allows us to segment, it allows us to micro segment, it allows us to personalize content, it allows us to perform engagement analytics where I can, do A/B testing, for example, to understand what I need to, what kind of messaging I need to have, and finally the value proposition and the products and services that I need to position. Right. So it's a very interesting time to be in where there's huge amount of data available. And there are analytics tools which actually get you to a place where, you can start performing the analysis to reach the objectives that you draw for yourselves as well.
Okay. Very interesting. So I think, from just creative guys in marketing, I think now we also become more of analysts looking at the data.
I think so. I think today it's a combination of left brain, right brain, right? In that sense. You need to have a creative which is strong, which means it is something which is going to be appealing to me. And creative today is not just visual appeal, right? It is the use of more number of senses to engage you. So, traditionally in marketing, we've known that, the more the number of senses that engage with a particular objective, the better is my, retention of that particular brand. Right. So, for example, if I was to walk into a store physically, right, there'll be a particular type of a perfume. And obviously there'll be, neon lighting, and then there will be glassware and, all of that good stuff, which means I'm using suddenly, my sight, my hearing. So there would be some good music. I'd be smelling something, lots of senses which are getting involved. So I think that creative element still needs to be there, but I think that is table stakes today. Right. I can't have if I'm selling a serious SaaS product, right, which is enterprise grade with, multi-million-dollar, multi-country impact, I can't potentially have a very gaudy set of colors to engage with people, right? Because potentially the folks that I'm going to be engaging with are senior guys, CXO level or VP level who will be sitting out there. So I need to be sensitive to their, let's say, preferences in that sense. But it is also important to understand those preferences, right? To understand the demographics, which means that there needs to be some data point that is going to lead me to the fact that, okay, this guy is going to find this, or this particular segment of people or personas is going to find these colors gaudy, or they may not like this music, and so on, right? So I think it's a combination. So it's a very interesting world to live in. From the time when we used to put creatives on A4 sheets and get photocopies and create copies of them, we've come a very, very long way, right? So that's I think that's the fun of being a marketer today. The ability to actually micro segment and create conversations which are specific to specific people.
So true. I think the role itself is transforming into a new hybrid version. If I were to call that, right?
It already has. I think, you're absolutely right there, Karthik. I think, it already has transformed into something hybrid. Tradition. If you were to see the new age marketers and sales people who are coming through, right? Especially in the technology world, their domain is technology, right? Correct. That's where they kind of, start growing from, which means that they are connected very well to the products and services that they're trying to sell. And unless you have that experience, right, you can't translate into something that you want to really sell and market. Correct. So I think that's you're exactly right. It's a hybrid, and it's a very interesting hybrid of all of these functions together.
So true. Yeah. So we spoke about ABM. Now I want to pull in some aspects from your sales enablement and pre-sales experience as well. Again, one of the challenges which traditionally as marketers we face is, we've got the leads, but, is the sales team utilizing it right? Sales says we have not got sufficient or good quality leads from
Yeah,
marketing.
yeah.
How do you see digital tools, acting as a bridge between account-based marketing and account-based selling?
Okay, so let me give you a, nirvana situation, right? So, I mean, that's the utopian situation that potentially CEOs, CXOs, CFOs, CMOs want to be in, right?
Yeah.
You create a message, and that particular message or that particular asset, which is utilizing that message, right, goes out through the sales channel, and then comes back through a very strong lead, right? So, I mean, in the simplest form, that's what it can look like. Now, let's put the layer of account-based marketing on top of that. Right. So if I have two organizations, one, let us say, I mean, both of these companies can potentially use my product, but in different ways. One company is maybe 500 people strong, and one company maybe 20,000 people strong, right? Which means that everything is, at two ends of the stick in terms of the, the budgets they have, what they'll be able to spend, what they will utilize it for, the full utilization of the product or the service that they're going to get as well, right?
Yeah.
Now, which means that the message that you need to create for the small company for the same product is going to be different as compared to the large company with 20,000 people in it. Right? Now, the people that you're going to, or let's say the channels that you're going to utilize to send this message out is also going to be multiple in nature, right? So there's going to be a digital channel, and then there's going to be, let's say there's going to be an event where both of these companies are present. And then you're also going to have your salespeople who are going to take this message out to these two companies. You will need to separate this message out. It's as simple as that, right? The behavior of these two companies is going to be different. The scale at which they are going to utilize the product is going to be different. And what comes out of it is going to be, different as well, which means that there needs to be synchronicity between account-based marketing and account-based sales. Right? Now, if we were to look at it from the flip side, right? So if we already have salespeople who are going out there and meeting with personas and people in these organizations, it is important to take their feedback, right? To create the messages that you want to as well. So you can't have, a looking London, talking Tokyo kind of a message generically, right? Created for any kind of an asset that you have there in the market. So I think it is super critical, especially from the account-based or, selling organizations perspective, that the marketing is completely in sync with what happens on the sales side. Your sales is going to be through marketing. So it means that your marketing needs to correspond to that or reflect that sentiment which is out there with the people in those accounts. So I think that's the way the functioning, so to speak, needs to be. You can't have two diametrically different, organizations in sales and marketing not talking to each other, operating out there today. Marketers potentially also need to be in front of the customers to listen to the messages that are coming in, right? So that they can create the collateral and the asset depending on that kind of a message. So I think it's already happening. There is a lot of congruence between sales and marketing in that sense. So just to give you a couple of concepts, regarding this. So for example, multi-channel, right? We use the term multi-channel. So it's more from an operational perspective in terms of, okay, marketing is going to utilize digital, events, sales as different channels to create the demand and bring in the leads. Right? And then you also have omni-channel as a concept, right? Which is actually in force today in different ways in different industries. Yeah. So omni-channel is nothing but an experience, right? And the sales teams, the marketing assets are just means to create that experience for the customer. It has to be seamless, and it has to be, it has to lend itself to the objective that you're trying to solve. So in a sense, I think they're not opposites today. Yeah, I mean, from an outcome perspective, sales brings in the outcomes pretty immediately. So you get instant gratification, right? Even instant gratification in enterprise terms could potentially be 6 months, more. But marketing, I think, takes a little bit longer. Marketing is a little bit more empirical in that sense. The messaging is to create a brand and a personality and an image, for the for the organization that is selling a particular type of product. So yeah, I mean, there needs to be complete sync between ABM and ABS, right? Account-based marketing and account-based sales today.
So true, so true. And so how do you see, digital tools playing a role in kind of bridging these two
Yeah,
together?
so I
While
think
one, there is a mindset and,
correct.
operational wise that you spoke about.
Yeah.
How would these tools probably enable that better?
Yeah, so I think the traditional tools, right? The usage of the tools have always been there.
Hmm.
To give you an example, the CRM as a
Hmm.
tool, right? The customer relationship marketing or management tool as such
Hmm.
was
Hmm.
traditionally used by the sales teams in their
Correct.
pipeline and opportunity management, or
Correct.
potentially even contact management, right? So you would go out there, you'd meet someone, you'd bring that information back and feed it into the CRM with a particular need that you're trying to fulfill for that particular contact. Now, marketing needs to be plugged in completely into this, right? So you have let's say a database of customers, and which today you can, from another tool perspective, you can call it a customer master, right? So it's the golden record of a customer where you will be able to see the entire journey of what's happened with that particular customer, right? So some campaign that happened 5 years back, some event that was there 6 months back, there was a webinar, or there was an ask for a piece of content or a form fill that happened on your website. So all of these need to be captured at certain point of time. Now, when there is let's say an opportunity that pops up, right, or there is a contact activation of a particular contact that takes place between the salesperson and that and that particular persona, the information is actually that is available through these tools is like liquid gold, right? Because you will be able to as a salesperson, you will be able to look back at the history of this particular contact. I think that's point number one. The point number two is there are two specific loops that kind of form in your organization when it comes to use of tools. Let's say through the CRM, which in a sense is the fulcrum of most of the data, and the second is the marketing automation. So, for example, if you are doing a campaign, right, let's say with 200 people or maybe 2,000 people or 20,000 people, right, the data comes from the CRM because that's the database of all the contacts that you have. Yeah, moves into your marketing automation system, which has to be seamless and it has to be plugged into your CRM, right? So and this marketing automation is nothing but a campaign manager, so to speak, right? It could be an email campaign or a social campaign or anything that you're doing digitally, which means that you've created a campaign, you're sending it out through the marketing automation, and then it leaves your organization or leaves the interface between your organization and the world out there. And it touches, let's say, out of those 200 or 20,000 people, it ends up touching 10% of the people, right? That you're sending the campaign out to, which means that these 10% of the people will come back either onto your website, or they will contact a phone number, which is there, on that campaign, or it could be a social message that has been created. Now, who captures that? How do I know that which of these 20 of these 200 people have actually come back to my, have come back and engaged with me? That information then gets captured into the CRM, right? Which means that I've completed my loop in terms of bringing my leads back. Now let's look at the other side of the loop in terms of, let's say, the automation, which is, let's say, connected with the ERP within the organization, right? Which is, let's say, the financial management system or account management system, right? An opportunity gets created with one of these 20 people, and that then, let's say, gets converted and I have a win. Which means that now I have a complete journey of what happened with a particular contact. So tools today actually not just act as a simple base of what happens in the real world within the organization, but they also give you the ability to start doing analytics on top of these, right? Who were these 20 people who engaged with you? Yeah. What is their need for content? How are they going to, engage with the content further, right? Are they going to be your opinion leaders? Are they going to be your gatekeepers? What's going to happen with these people, right? Correct. You start to do a lot of tool-based analytics, so to speak, because all of that data needs to get captured as well. So I think, yeah, I mean, intervention of technology is critical in any sphere of marketing and sales, because they are, very closely interconnected, so to speak, in the, within your organization's technology as well.
Very interesting. So multiple layers which are there, which organization need to
There are.
look into, and
There are.
I think it gets more complex as you start getting more data, and it also gets more simpler because you're getting more granular view as well with the help
Absolutely.
of this technology.
Yeah, I mean, I think the other important thing, Karthik, that you touched upon there is, your how do you understand all of this, right? So you need to contextualize all of this data, which comes back to you. You need to have your business rules. You need to understand who are your, priority contacts and accounts versus non-priority contacts and accounts as well.
True.
So creating those business rules, making that data more meaningful for yourself is also a critical part of the work that we do.
Very true. Very
Yeah.
true. So Tejas, any success stories of campaigns which you have run, or anything that you have come across from an ABM standpoint in a digital world which you would like to share?
Yeah, so I think there are some, let me put it, there are some generic examples out there. And when I say generic, obviously these are account-based and these are tech-driven, right? So organizations that deal with some of these account-based marketing tools themselves. So there's an organization called Demandbase, right? So they have a great example. They have a case study out there which said that, they have, they created ABM initiatives which actually increased their win rates by 25%. Right, which meant that they created a segment of accounts. They created, personalized content. They created channelized strategy, which personalized content to these set of personas and accounts that they went to, which actually increased their win rates by 25%. They also said that there's a 30% increase in their deal size, for example, and potentially a higher number which from a marketing influence pipeline perspective. So Demandbase, I think, is a great example. Adobe has done this, I think, using multiple channels. They speak about it quite publicly as well. There are digital channels, including email, social, targeted advertising that they advocate, which is increase their deal sizes as well as customer engagement rates by more than 25 to 30% themselves. I think if I was to look inwardly into Axtria, there was, there's one instance that kind of, pops to my mind, other than, many others that have happened as well, where we kind of took an integrated marketing approach, sitting on top of account-based marketing, right? So we created a segment for a solution that we were trying to get embedded or at least heard in the market through which we call the omni-channel marketing solution that we had for life sciences organizations, right? The connotation is a little bit different from a product and from a consulting perspective. So what we did was, there were two aspects to this, right? First, we wanted to understand what's the addressable market out there. So it was a little bit of a, large scale segmented approach. So we said, okay, large companies more than, let's say $10 billion in size, how are they going to approach, omni-channel marketing from their perspective? Once we got that information back from these large companies, so we had three segments, right? So there were large companies and there were medium companies and small companies. Once we got that information back, we were actually able to create targeted, sequenced, marketing plans and campaign plans, which included specific messages and using the customer base or key opinion leaders from the customers or from the clients or from the prospects, right, to actually engage with us to create specific messages, which then further enhance the appeal into the accounts that we were going into. And most of these messages were, in a sense, not specifically segment based, but actually going all the way down to the accounts as well. It gave us significantly good results. I mean, we got a huge set of leads out there. I mean, marketers typically start jumping up and down when they get leads, right? And then obviously conversions as well. So and this was an initiative that kind of went on for more than a year, right? So actually around 11 months is what this initiative went on between 21 and 22. And that is kind of reaping results even today for us. We continue to leverage the insights which came from that particular campaign even today.
Very interesting. Multiple examples of that.
Yeah.
So my last question, Tejas, would be, how do you see ABM evolving in the future? And what are some trends that companies should be aware of as they prepare for this?
Yeah. So I think that's a very interesting question, right? So if you were to go out there and speak to marketers, actually there was a study done, right, where marketers were asked how important is account-based marketing. And 94% of the marketers said it is account-based marketing, right? That's going to work for you. But here's the interesting part: more than 80% of them in the same study also mentioned that quantifying ABM program results is a huge challenge, right? Which means that you want to do it, but measuring it, quantifying it is a problem. Which means that, in a sense, while it may be, it may be a great initiative that you want to try, but you want to ensure that the objective with which you're going out there is also very clear. Right? You can't have very lofty expectations going out there doing, account-based marketing, and most of them fail because account-based marketing is very different as compared to, what I call the spray and pray marketing, right? Or actually, many of the marketers call it that way as well. So I think a broad theme about ABM is the adoption of the strategies, right? In terms of the ABM strategies itself, there is going to be a saturation point, meaning if 94% of the marketers have adopted ABM, there is a saturation in terms of, adoption itself. But from implementation perspective, there is going to be a change, right? There needs to be a change because if you're not able to measure what you're getting into, I think that's a problem. And you need to start looking at how the measurement KPIs, so to speak, start to come in. So I think one trend is going to be in terms of measurement of your ABM, in terms of your ABM initiatives. The second, I think, is going to be, intervention of technology in itself. I mean, you alluded to AI, ML, for example, right, to transform data into actionable insights. So I think, as such, technology today, it will be able to provide actionable intelligence as such, right? And you need to leverage it, contextualize it to your own business in that sense, right? In a sense, once the data is clean, it is healthy, it is accurate, you need to utilize it maybe to understand your addressable market, right? Prioritize your customers, understand low-hanging fruits, and also put in a sense, some predictive, analytics based on historical data to get some trends. So I think one second is going to be, use of technology. I think account-based marketing today has moved online, right? Actually, most of the marketing in that sense has moved online. There was a, Gartner study that spoke about only, 17% of the B2B marketers or actually B2B buyers today take time to meet with potential, suppliers in person, meaning look at it from the other side, right? 83% of them are actually meeting their sellers online, which means that, your digital strategies have to be razor sharp in order to engage with customers there. The third trend, I think, is, with conversational AI coming in, conversational marketing is also is going to be, I think it'll need to find a place for itself, right? Conversational marketing is in terms of drawing your, decision trees or conversational trees to answer specific questions. So it's not very different as compared to, for example, having a chatbot out there, but I think it's a little bit more than that, right? It's engaging one-on-one with the consumer, understanding his preferences. So it needs to be a lot more detailed in that sense.
Correct.
I think we spoke about another trend, which I see is going to be a lot more to do with, and it will lend itself to measurement as well, right? Which is aligning sales and marketing with the ABM goals. I think that's critical. You can't have an account plan which is being driven by marketing and then another account plan which is going to be driven by sales. I think they need to be, working together in it. I think there is no choice left today, right? Sales and marketing teams need to work together for ABM to work. And I think one final thing from the ABM perspective, more at a tactical nature, right, is the multi-touch approach. Because especially from a digital terms, it's not enough to say that, okay, I just, there was this guy who came in and he just filled up one form, for example, right? It has to be multiple touch because you don't know whether your buyers have actually started to enter your funnel with just one touch. So your ability to understand, connect the journeys to make sure that they're engaging with the right content and you're using that feedback to give them more relevant assets to consume is going to be important. So I think these are, broadly the 5-6 trends, Karthik, that I see. I mean, I'm sure there are more, but I think from an operationalization perspective, I think these are going to be very important.
Very interesting, Tejas. So I think some very key takeaways for me. One, definitely the exciting hybrid version of the marketer is evolving, and it'll be interesting to see how that works. Alignment between sales and marketing. which has
Absolutely.
always been an issue. I think now it's high time that that alignment happens so that they're targeting the common goals with respect to
Absolutely. I
the
think
account
that's
strategy
imperative.
itself.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. And, technology is definitely going to be playing a key role in providing those contextual insights, but, making sense out of that and then fine tuning those strategies is where, the marketer's role is will be coming in at that point.
True. Yeah.
So thanks a lot, Tejas, once again for sharing this insights. Love the conversation, and looking forward to more such conversations in future.
And absolutely. And thanks, Karthik, for having me here. And I'm happy to, share. I'm excited to share the insights with you.
Absolutely. Love the conversation.
All right.
Thank
Thanks
you.
so much. Yeah.
For more such insights, best practices, and thought leadership content, visit our website www.demandfarm.com or follow us on LinkedIn and Twitter @demandfarm.